Go.
Okay. This worked a bit. 5, I want you to run 1 point each. A skater having gone out of bounds or straddling that briefly, unintentionally, completely returns to the track on one skate in their efforts to remain or return out of bounds is not a cutting penalty. This only includes efforts to remain out of bounds. Failed attempts to re-enter the track legally, resulting in illegal gameplay, should be penalised as normal. So there's 4 things that we must see.
That's how it's always been.
No.
Because it does say returns completely.
That's right.
Okay.
So there's 4 things we must see. It must be brief, unintentional, only on 1 foot, while attempting to remain out of bounds.
Yeah.
Can you say them again?
Brief, unintentional, only on 1 foot, while attempting to remain out of bounds.
So if you lose your balance.
Yeah, that's typically when it happens. But if you, again, it's probably one of those times where the refs are going to have to use their discretion here. But if you get blocked into a straddling position, and because you've lost balance, you've taken that foot up, right? This foot's still in. That foot went out really briefly. By the correct reading of the former rule set, that would have been cut. Because you've taken your out of bounds status out, you're now returning bounds. Cut every time. Very harsh though, because you've only lost balance and done it briefly while trying to remain out of bounds. Yeah? We don't call that as a cut anymore. So it hasn't really changed the cutting rules, it's just changed the way that we call certain circumstances.
That's a pretty rare one.
It's pretty rare. It doesn't happen often, but it does.
So the clincher is the 1 foot thing, right? So I'm just seeing, sorry, I'm visual. So I'm just thinking apex, here,
Yeah.
and those ones when you get blocked off,
Yeah.
and you're like trying to, but you come back on over here before, so you cut. So if you can do that but only get 1 foot, it still might not be cool.
Not in that scenario, no. No, in that scenario, you're still going to get cut.
Even if you've tried to stop yourself from re-entering the track?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me too.
It must be. Right, so you've got, in that scenario, whether this is realistic or not,
Yeah.
refs are saying you've got enough time to stop,
Yeah.
if you're skilled enough, before you get to that point,
Okay.
for this particular rule not to apply to you.
Yeah.
This rule applies if it's like there,
Yeah.
and in your efforts to remain out of bounds, you do it really briefly, unintentionally, like it comes up this much,
Yeah.
really brief, really unintentional, you're trying to remain out of bounds, and it's only 1 foot, then we're not going to call it as a cut. If, however,
Quick stuff.
you do that, and you lift that foot and you push off with this one, but then put that foot back down to try and stay out,
Yeah.
we're calling that as a cut still.
Okay.
Did that make sense?
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're straddling here, there's the line there, you're out.
Yeah.
So you've lifted this briefly, and you go to start to push off with this foot, but then you go, oh no shit, I've got to stay out.
Alright,
Got to stay out.
That first.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's no longer unintentional.
So basically,
Just
if
ball.
you go, oh, I'm about to fuck it, you have fucked it. But if you actually stumble, you might not have fucked it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I suppose 3 feet is a fair enough distance.
And refs are really going to see
Looking
like
down,
there's a bit
fall
of a
around.
stumble and like you're losing your balance
fall.
compared to I almost
Oh,
I'm cutting. No, I'm not.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, look, this doesn't really open too much opportunity
No, it
to
doesn't.
not get cuts.
It just means that if you 100% genuinely do stumble,
Yeah,
that they're not going to be hard ass.
yeah.
Alright.
It's just kind of like,
It does happen though. Yeah.
just kind of, you know, pulling back a little bit on when we're calling cuts. Because under the previous rule set, every time you lift your out of bounds foot, you've got to cut. If you're straddling. So it just gives you a very narrow opportunity to avoid a cut. It doesn't happen often, but we've seen it. We just need to be sure that it was brief, unintentional, 1 foot, trying to remain out of bounds.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sure that, oh, one thing, pack destruction, I know it's going back a little bit, but the action that changes the speed must be rapid or marked, regardless of how long until there is a destruction.
Okay.
We're looking for the action.
Yeah.
So it's always been like this, I'm just reinforcing. We're looking for the action, so we're skating along, I brake, I then start to coast again. It then takes another 5 feet for the pack to brake. That was the action that was sudden, rapid or marked that I'm calling for a destruction for. It doesn't matter that the destruction happened 5 beats from now.
There wasn't an immediate destruction. That's a bit
It's still the first action that caused the destruction.
So does that?
And this is where it does people's heads in, because the rules actually say such an action where the other team has no opportunity to maintain a pack.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at it in terms of if you're the other team and I put the brakes on, you really have no way of avoiding me changing that speed.
Yeah.
Because that's a pretty quick change of speed putting that brake on. So even if, as I said, it takes a while for the destruction to happen, you're still going to get called for it. As coaches, as more experienced players, whatever, you need to be reinforcing all the time that if there is opportunity to legally break a pack, so long as you don't do any action that is rapid, sudden, or marked.
But I don't really agree with that, because if you've stopped your action, the other pack has an opportunity to maintain a pack.
Yeah, I know. If they don't, so if you read the rules as well, it says both teams are responsible for determining the speed of the pack. Yeah. So speed is 3. My action in braking changes the speed to 2.8. You've stated 3.
Yeah.
I've now gone to 2.8. That means it's going to take 5 beats for the pack to brake. The action that I made took us, or took my team, back to 2.8. You haven't changed your speed. It's still at 3. If you do not change your speed, then my action has still changed the speed and created the destruction.
But that's not true, you're saying.
Yeah, no. If,
Even though-
yeah,
even though they did
absolutely. What
nothing.
I'm saying is, if though it goes to 2.8, and then these guys go to 2.5, fine. Or they go back down to 2.8 and they're happy to go to 2.8 because they both agree that, yeah, let's go at 2.8, that's okay. No destruction. Or if the destruction does happen, it must have been natural.
Okay, so it's like this is that you can go from 3 to 2.8 as long as you don't do any of those sudden, rapid, marked things that the rest are watching
Right.
for.
Yeah.
So you can go from skating to skating slower.
Yeah.
Just don't do the marked, rapid things that the rest are going
I've
to give you
just been
destruction
watching
for.
like the power jams on, some of the, I don't know, like Denver versus Texas or something like that, and it looks to me as if they go for a man on and then they go back to 8 feet. So the other pack is still moving.
But then they
So you cannot destroy
they
the pack.
retain the space that they
Cannot destroy the pack attempting to block.
No, I'm not, that's not what happened. But so say they man on, so the pack's moving at a slow speed because they're holding the jammer. The people go man on, the pack is still moving at a slow speed. The person who man on fails, they go back to 8 feet, the pack is still moving at a slow speed, and then there's no pack. Shouldn't that person who went to man on and then came back to 8 feet get a destruction?
Yep.
No, because the pack wasn't destroyed by their action.
The pack was moving at a
Well-
slow speed the whole time.
If, only if, so if that other team goes, yes, this person's come with us, let's take their speed, and they all go, okay, they've decided the speed's this, let's go at that speed, and then they go back.
But they don't, they maintain the same speed the
Right.
whole time.
Right.
So the pack's moving at a slow speed, they go to man on, they stay at a slow speed, they go back to 8 feet, they stay at a slow speed, and then there's no pack.
Because there's been no change of speed while the pack is in existence. Both teams haven't agreed to the new speed that's been suggested.
So
Does that make
even
sense?
if that person who comes back to 8 feet stops, they were stopped. They
Yeah,
went to man
I know
on, they
exactly
came
what
back
you're
and
talking
they
about.
stopped.
Yeah, I see it all the time.
They stopped within the 10 feet.
Yeah,
So the pack hasn't been destroyed by them. When no pack call comes, then they just have to.
but
move
Tui's
forward.
saying, going back to what I said before, that the pack destruction can happen much later after the action.
Yeah.
But you're also looking at, did both teams agree to the new pack speed? Or was that change of speed just within the pack speed as defined by where the pack is? Does that make sense? Because you can have a pack that's spread out for a pretty long distance. And you can have people moving in and out of that so long as
Could it
it's...
be that, like, that because they were stopped to start with, they weren't moving slowly to start with?
Yeah.
They can go back to stopped. Whereas if they were moving slowly to start with, manned on, and then came back to stop, that would be no okay.
So there is no pack speed of 0. There can't be a pack speed of 0.
Okay.
So even at the start, if at the start you'll choose not to move and one team skates away, as long as they don't skate away in a rapid, marked or sudden way, there's no pack destruction because there can be no pack speed of 0.
Yes.
So if I'm stopped and you choose not to be stopped because you don't want to be stopped, as long as you don't race away from me, you won't get a destruction.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the person who's gone to man on.
Yeah, I know.
Destruction.
I know.
I've picked up the speed to start with, but then taken it back plus their space.
But see, they've gone from,
But like you said, they
they didn't take the speed from that person. They've gone from a 0, accelerated,
laterally.
but both teams haven't decided that that's the pack speed.
Yeah.
They both have to decide that this is the pack speed we want. This group hasn't changed their speed, they're still at 0. And so long as she's moved whilst there's still that 10 feet, she's not a bridge that's actually broken. Then there's been no new pack speed created.
So basically, because they don't have the speed and go, they just stay relatively stopped.
Yeah.
They allow her to go back to stopped without being illegal.
Right, because both teams have not, because both teams have not decided we want to change the speed of this pack.
Yeah.
Both teams must do that.
And just because she's sped up to be within that slow moving pack, doesn't mean that she can't stop again.
So long as pack is still there, right? So she's, say it's at the 4 wall.
I just see that as the same as if everyone's moving slowly and then she suddenly stops, then she'll get a destruction.
Yeah,
It's not the same because
No,
it's
that's
it's
right.
movement.
Because we've got to talk about, we've got to talk about speed is X. We both decide to speed up or we both decide to slow down. If we both don't decide to change the speed and the speed changes because of your action, and the destruction happens, then that's a destruction of pack. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I totally know what you're saying, and it's really complicated. But for a ref, we've got to go, has a new pack speed been established? That's why you hear really excellent derby teams saying take a speed, and they take it, and they race, and that's it. That jam is dead now, because those girls have just gone, you've got to stay with us, or you're going to be. Well, not technically.
Because they could slow down.
She could slow down gradually. That's right. She could be sprinting, but sprint slower and sprint slower and sprint slower with no action that changes from sprinting to coasting, or from coasting to braking, or from braking to stopping. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then you have to draw the bridge, otherwise there's no pack, you can't keep blocking.
Yeah. So who wants to be a rep?
There's no pack again.
I have one question on that. So when they're playing this home row and they're sitting there and they're standing still, it seems like you have to play into their hands. Can't you, as you know, the pack is there, can't you slowly
Yeah, absolutely.
move away
Absolutely.
until,
Pack is broken.
right? Now they have to come to you. As soon as they move to you, can't you grab that speed and force the
Yeah.
pack to now move?
Yeah.
Instead of playing in that whole game? Because I don't see that strategy done a lot out of fear of getting pack destructions.
Yeah.
But it seems like, can't you force their hand? Why? They just seems ridiculous the way they can just stand there. It's like, we need to be able to have a strategy to force them to
Yeah.
come off that line. And as soon as they have to race up, grab that speed and make that pack move again.
So long as one of you remains as a bridge and tries to draw her along,
Yep.
tries to match that speed and says, yep, let's go with that speed.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're stopped back there. No pack is called. They accelerate to 3.
Yep.
I'm going, all right, cool, let's go at 3.
Yep.
Yep. Let's
Match
go
it.
at 3 for however long it takes you guys to slow down, then we'll do a roll again.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they absolutely gun it at you and they go to 5, then you're going to 5.
Yeah.
And you both decided now, this is our pack speed. If that person then goes, shit, 5 is too fast.
Yeah.
They turn around and they go back to their team. They've destroyed the pack.
Okay.
But they can always go back to slow. They don't have to stay
No,
fast.
that's right. They can go, I'm going to 5, I'm going to 4, I'm going to 3, I'm going to 2, I'm going to 1.
But then eventually you're going to get a no pack call. Eventually you're going to get a no pack call
Yeah.
because they're slowing, going back. As soon as that happens, they now have to come back up to you again. It's the back's got to come up. So you're still moving them along. You're not letting them park.
But the front has to stop too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was talking before about. You've got to determine the speed that they get to when pack is destroyed.
Yep.
So they start at 5. You go, yep, let's go at 5. They move back down to 3. Pack is destroyed.
Yep.
You now need to move back down to 3 because if you're at 3 and they're at 3, pack's going to rejoin pretty fast. Or they'd probably move to 4. Yeah, so you go down to 4. We're now at 4, and then it's just going to go all over again.
The next up to slow, yeah.
Yeah, they start to slow down without illegally destroying the pack. Then you do it again. So these reformations, you've got to be really on the ball. If you're at the back, you want to do it in such a way where you're not going to get a failure to reform, but you're also not going to get caught in a new speed if they try and take you away. At the front, you've got to do it in such a way that you're not stopped, so that when they're at 5, you don't have time to get to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you have a question? Did you have your hand up? No. Any other questions?
Wow.
Very good.
Is that too late to take up soccer?